to the Can't Teach Taste podcast with your boy Matt Gannum and your boy Todd Tomlinson. What's good?
Yes, sir. What's good with you, man? What's new out there, man?
New Year's, man. About to be New Year's. It's cold up here. Out in Big Bear, man. It's like 30 degrees. Might snow this week. You know, it was crazy cold at dinner last night. It's like another world when you come up the hill. You know what I mean? Even though it's not too far from where you live, but
yeah, it's different though, bro. You need the seasons. You probably don't get those seasons in Scottsdale. I don't get them out here in LA. So it's nice to switch it up and then go back to the warmer weather when you want to. But the weather's been terrible out here in LA too, honestly. So hopefully everybody's safe. Tomorrow night it's going to be raining out here in LA and people driving and going to their parties and all that stuff. So stay safe. You know, those crazy days of partying in Hollywood and, you know, all that stuff are behind me. So I'll be safe.
Sadly,
too old, bro.
Sadly,
Those days are over.
Bro. Sadly. Hey, I wanted to say before we get into this, shout out to my guy Gashi. If you guys haven't listened to, if you find this, it's yours. Nice little 11-song drop that he decided to put out. Came out on Christmas Day, which no one's ever put out an album on Christmas Day, as far as I could tell. There's a real dope cover on it at the end too, and 10 original tracks. We also. He also might be dropping a song on New Year's Day tomorrow.
Do it.
It might be called Happy New Year. Stay tuned.
Love it. Malibu is my joint off of that. If y'all listen to that album, which you should. Malibu is my cut off that album. I like a lot of the songs, but that's my track right there. So shout out to Gash, putting that out on Christmas, early Christmas gift.
Track 2, Gloria, is the number one streaming song on there, which is kind of like an 80s vibe. I think it's funny too, because if you don't tell people that it's an 80s song, they'll listen to it. If you tell them that's an 80s song, they don't listen to it because
I love 80s music, man. So I'll run to it. Yeah, when I hear the 80s vibe and when he goes in that pocket, that's my shit. So these youngins need to get on game and the 80s era. Great music.
I'm gonna send you my 80s playlist. It has that song, We Built This City on Rock and Roll. And I sent it to Gash. I was like, we need to sample this. And he was like, I guess the Diplomat sampled it, which I didn't
Cameron
even
sampled it.
And it was
Cameron
horrible.
did.
It was
Cameron.
bad. Yeah. It was very disappointing because that shit should be fire. But if you haven't listened, give it a listen and take a peek on New Year's Day on midnight. We'll see how quickly these things upload. But we're going to take a run at having one drop right at New Year's called
Let's Go. Love it.
Fire. So what's crazy is if we're going to talk about a stat that is kind of unmatched, and I'm going to talk through some of the specifics, but there's been a post buzzing about how Jokic is leading the NBA from 2020, 2021, so not 2018, 2019. So like the LeBron bubble season doesn't count for this. That's it. That's actually the first. No, that's the first one of this, the LeBron bubble season. So it's 1920. It's not through the end of 2019. So 1920 through now. So there's 3.5 years left in the decade, right? Because we're going to end up in the 28-29 season. Jokic is leading the NBA in points, rebounds, assists, steals. So what I did is I went through essentially the 2010s just to give us some perspective on it, right? LeBron, I can't remember how many points he had. I think he had 555 points. He finished 105 points ahead of Kevin Durant in that decade, right? Jokic is 67% of the way there as we sit with 13,242 points. And we're essentially 65% of the way there. So he's right on pace to pass the number one scorer of last decade, which is Bron. DeAndre Jordan was number one in rebounds. He beat Dwight Howard by 600 boards with 8,653 boards. Jokic has 6,030 boards, so he's 70% of the way there, so a little ahead of the pace. So he's on pace to match the 2010s points and pass the 2010s boards. And then assists, he's 2/3 of the way there also exactly, just like he is in points with 4,326 assists compared to Russ's 6,462 assists. And he finished a couple hundred assists over CP3 in the 2010s. And the one that he won't match is steals. He's halfway to CP3's 1,396 steals, which was 60 over Russ. So Russ and CP3 were right there in steals and assists. But Jokic at 7 foot, you can say he's slow.
Non-athletic, yes.
I mean, wild. Can't run, looks tired the whole time. but he's on pace to beat Bron in points, DeAndre Jordan in boards, Russ in assists, and he'll, I don't know, finish 80% or so to CP3 steals, and he still has a great opportunity to pass. And he's only 30, so he'll be done with this by the time he's 34, 33, right?
It's insane. Is it fair to say, is it start to have the conversation of Jokic being the best center of all time? Close. Like, I'll say he's there. Like, who's your greatest center of all time right now?
Shaq,
as we sit here and talk? Shaq.
Shaq.
Yep. I say Shaq and Kareem are 1 and 2 in whatever order you want to put them in. I think in the next 4 years, I think Jokic, stats alone, eye test alone, skill set alone, is going to be the best center of all time. He might not get the rings that Shaq and Kareem got, but if you just look at what he's doing, what you just said right there that's ungodly type of numbers for one player to be able to do that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. He might climb that list for me in the next 2 to 3 years as the best center of all time, right? He's not going to have all the stats and the rings in that period, but I think a conversation has to start being had about where Jokic lands in the history of the NBA, for sure.
What's interesting is he's also doing it in a small market, which, didn't even really exist until essentially John Elway put Denver on the map for the most part in sports, right? So he's doing it in a small market. He stayed there the whole time. Obviously, they've been able to attract some higher level talent. But if this guy wanted to chase it a little bit and he dipped out, and went and played with, some more top tier players, because has he ever had an all-star teammate? He probably, maybe Jamal Murray. All-star game.
I think Jamal Murray, I'll have to look if Jamal Murray's, because the West has been tough.
If he's made an all-star game, he hasn't made a lot of them. So Jamal Murray's your borderline. So you could put Jokic in the category of, won a chip without a top 75 player, right? You can put him in that category. And so he's doing a lot. Obviously this dominance, if he somehow, even if he gets passed on steals and gets points, boards, and assists for a whole decade as one person, when I looked at that list, I expected there to be a little bit of, there's nobody. It doesn't track that way, right? Obviously steals and assists are pretty similar, but points and boards were not anywhere near there. And so obviously you need to be a 7-footer, most likely, or 6'10" or 11 to lead the NBA in boards. You generally need to be short, like a smaller, quicker player to do that with steals. So obviously there's something, his IQ is just different. He sees the game differently. There was a clip where the refs made a call on him when he was passing a ball and inbound, and he's literally yelling at them saying, "That's not the rule. This is the rule." He knows, you know what I mean? He's just different. And so I wanted to bring that up because I couldn't believe how, he could essentially have a better decade than all of those other guys who are obviously elite at what they did. And Russ is the best rebounding guard of all time, and he's not in the conversation for doing this. The most triple doubles, which I don't think Jokic is actually that far behind catching Russ in triple doubles. Draymond has the only triple double without points, which means if he was paying attention, he could have had a quadruple double, or if he could shoot. I don't know which one it is, but
one of the two.
Maybe Jokic. Obviously, Jokic is never going to have a triple double without points, but maybe he could have a quadruple double. Maybe if there's a game where he's got some steals, if he maybe he doesn't think about it, but if he has 6 or 7 steals somehow, he needs to push it and figure out a way to get a quadruple double.
That'd be wild. He's still, the best player in the NBA. I think there's, a fairly large gap too, if I'm being honest. Right now, still, he's the best player in the NBA. And he's the equalizer. And I still think with a healthy Jokic and a healthy Aaron Gordon, Denver is a team that can win it all. But yeah, he's amazing. And that team is, I think, as the year goes on, is going to get better and better. They just need to get healthy. And as we're doing this pod, Jokic, it was announced, right, he's going to be out about a month. Had that knee injury yesterday. Looked kind of scary. Didn't look good at first. Was worried about ACL, but it sounds like he's going to be okay. But we'll see if they can keep the ship afloat. They got to stay semi-attached. I know, the playoffs is the only thing that matters, but they need to, stay, have a winning record while he's gone.
Yeah, they need to, I'd say even be 500 if they could. I don't know if they can do that. If they can I think he's so important to them. I don't know if they can.
Everything goes through him. That's the problem. But, you have Jamal Murray and, he's going to have to 40. Facilitate maybe. A little bit more. Yeah, he's got to create more.
Cam
Yeah.
Johnson's going to have to play. I mean, Bruce Brown's going to get some real minutes now. So
You go through Jamal now instead of going through Jokic. So it changes a little bit, but it'll give some other guys a chance to play and and get ready. But as we're talking about Denver. Since our last pod, things have changed a little bit in the landscape of the NBA when you look at the West and you look at OKC and you look at San Antonio, man. So, it looks like that, right now San Antonio seems to be OKC's kryptonite a little bit.
Well, so for those that don't know, they've beaten them 3 of the last 5 games or something like that, or 3 of the last 6 games they played because they met each other in the NBA Cup. 2 games were played in OKC, one of which the Spurs won by 2, one of which they won by 15, and then they beat them by 20 in San Antonio at the Frost Bank Center. So, Shea looked human-ish. I do have a suspicion, even though he dropped, I think he had 39 last night, but he only shot 7 free throws. I think it's getting to him that people are calling him a flopper and they're chanting flopper, and he's not trying to get the fouls the way he was, and he doesn't need to. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But obviously the Spurs, man, De'Aaron Fox is playing well, Castle's playing well, and obviously Wemby's when healthy. And candidly, the first game they beat him. I think the first time they beat him, they might not have had Wemby. The second time he came off the bench, the second and third time he came off the bench, played prominent minutes. But so that's changing. Obviously, OKC probably still wins the West if we hop into that. But real quick, they call it a hyperextended knee for Jokic, so it'll be reevaluated in 4 weeks. But if it was an ACL, it would be devastating.
No need to rush him. And what's funny, well, it's not funny, but with a player like Jokic, he's not really depending on his explosiveness or athleticism. So, a hyperextended or strained knee means a little less to somebody like Jokic when it comes to his game, which is good, but just happy that wasn't something more serious. It'll be interesting, man. Denver's still a good team. We'll see how they do in the absence of Jokic, but it also tell you how valuable Jokic is, which I think we're probably going to see. During this stretch.
So I looked at it. They have I wrote this down. They have where is it? Oh, so they have anywhere from 15 to most likely 17 games. They were in the middle of a road trip. They have 5 straight road games right now without Jokic before they go home.
Great.
10 of if they get to 20 games, it's 10 games on the road, right? So we're going to learn. They're going to learn exactly how important Jokic is. I mean, I think they're 20-10, which is the same record the Lakers have, actually, I think. But
to that story,
what we're going to see is how to your point, how impactful Jokic is. I think this team can win games, especially if they're going to need something dynamic in the first game or two, just because they're not really going to know what to do without Jokic. But once they figure it out, they're going to be able to win some games, man.
They will. They need their wings to play well. Christian Brown needs to play well. Peyton Watson, to your point, Bruce and those guys, and the Cam needs to. The next trade hasn't worked out, man, and we talked about it last pod, but he's got to find his rhythm. Obviously, it's looked like Michael Porter Jr. was someone that should have kept. But
Michael Porter Jr. is hooping.
He's hooping. He is. I know that they probably got rid of him because his style of play probably didn't fit what they were trying to do. But right now that trade isn't working out. But it's still a lot of game in season left where Cam can figure it out. But
maybe this will help him. Maybe it'll help him because he has to.
Yeah. Right.
Going back to the OKC, so they're 28-5, right? They were supposed to break the Warriors' record. The Warriors didn't lose their 6th game until they had 58 wins. So they need to go 30-0 to match the Warriors' pace.
Yeah.
And it's just that's not happening. So it's just not. And that's okay. It doesn't need to, and it probably shouldn't. And if they're smart, they'll be healthier in the end because of it. You know what I mean?
And I mean, OKC still, like if you look at their point differential, they're leading the NBA at, plus 14 points a game, meaning that they're winning on an average of 14. The next closest team is the Houston Rockets at 8. So they're still the team to beat, but styles make fights, man. I think San Antonio has something there that, kind of gives them problems. And let me say this too, Mitch Johnson has done a great job. He's obviously a disciple of Pop. That's just a well-coached team. They have talent. They're stacked with young talent. That's why I'm telling everybody, and these talks have died down, you don't bring I wouldn't bring Giannis in. You have so much young talent that's gelling and meshing together. You don't mess with it. So I do think San Antonio matches up well with OKC, and that's why I think Wemby takes the Chet matchup personally, which I fucking love. I love that shit. I love when players I don't think they like each other that much. So I think he takes it personally, and I think that battle alone is much CTV. But yeah, I think San Antonio has their number right now, and they got to OKC has to figure it out.
And I can't stand Chet at all.
I
don't like anything about him really, and it bothered me when they paid him a max extension. And
he's a good player, dude. We probably disagree there. Chet's a good player. If he can step down and knock down a shot. He's a good player.
Oh, dude,
he's had a bad haircut. You know what I'm saying? He's way too thin.
I don't know who his barber is. They need someone, bro. Like, there's got to be a barber in OKC somewhere, and maybe Tulsa. Adam could hook him up. He needs something out there, man.
Come on, Adam.
Maybe he drives. Maybe he goes a little south into Dallas. I don't know, but he needs to get that beard that tapered into his haircut because it looks like he's doing it himself. But that's not really the problem. The problem is, bro, is he's getting paid as much as Jalen and Shea, and I think he might be the reason. If this thing doesn't turn into a real dynasty where they win 2 or 3, he's the reason. There's no other reason why, because they're going to have to not pay someone else. And so unless they're going to ride with this guy, and it is what it is, but he might be the reason. And obviously Wemby doesn't like him. They're both goofy, tall, like too tall for their body types. You know what I mean? So maybe that's part of it. They both, probably would weigh 115 pounds if they were 5'7". You know what I mean? So they're very similar. Obviously Wemby's a lot more talented and more dynamic, but you could tell they don't like him. They don't like each other. Neither one of them do. And teams could beat the Spurs. I just don't know if anyone else could beat OKC. So maybe the OKC gets lucky. But if it's 1 and 2, they got to play. So
I agree. And let me say this:
big upset
with Denver. If Denver can, OKC obviously lays its hat. Offensively they're dynamic. We know that. But what wins them game is their defense. Right now, the Denver Nuggets are the number 1 scoring team in the NBA. They're at 125 points a game, and OKC's at 122. They shoot they're shooting better from the field than the OKC Thunder. They're shooting better from 3. So offensively, if you look at what Jokic does in Denver, they're better than OKC, but they need to clamp down on the defense, and that's the difference between those two teams.
And the playoffs might impact that to an extent because they're going to shrink. You know what I mean?
Court shrinks, everything shrinks, right? But then we look at San Antonio. They're not scoring as much, but they're a better defensive team than the Nuggets are. So it's interesting, man. I think it's
OKC's scoring more points than Denver if Shea plays fourth quarters, which means Jalen Williams probably not playing fourth quarters. So they're probably scoring 132 points a game, right?
Maybe, and it depends. I'll have to see the Nuggets on how many games they're blowing teams out, and maybe Jokic and Jamal aren't playing. But you're probably right. And Houston's up there too, man. It's really a 4-team race. They're starting to obviously continue to play well. So I think that's it in the West, man. I don't see Minnesota being a threat. The Lakers, obviously.
Let's talk about the other 20 and 10 team or whatever the Lakers are now. So of course you have. I sent you this clip. I didn't know what Rachel Nichols was doing. I guess she got kicked off ESPN, which I almost forgot about her.
Yeah, she's not on ESPN no more.
She has a pod, and she was talking about there's a couple things. One was Luka's defense, and will he ever play defense? Does he want to play defense? But then it kind of morphed into the way he follows the ref up and down the court and complains and cries and pleads his case and all of those things. And whoever the dude was on there, I don't know who he was, but he was JJ or owner, somebody needs to say something to him and just tell him, yo, you need to cut it out. It's having a negative impact on the team. It's obviously giving him it has to have a negative impact on his calls. He's not playing defense because he's laying on the floor screaming at the ref. And Rachel Nichols said, you don't think anyone's tried that before? It's never going to stop. He will do it forever, which is a crazy thought to me. Because when, obviously there's always lobbying to the ref and everyone does it a little bit. He takes it to another level. And maybe it's because he's also foul baiting and doing it that it's accelerated because you see a flop and then you see him crying if he doesn't get the call. Whereas if, you got hit and you didn't get the call, it's different. Or if you did flop. So I don't know what your thoughts are there, but I just think it has such a negative impact if he's actually the leader and the number one person, right?
It does.
Everyone's flopping and everyone's crying and nobody's playing defense.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's when your leader does that, it bleeds into other things. If a team's going back playing 4-on-5 defense, it sets the wrong precedent. He's too worried about it. It is ridiculous. I know LeBron does it too, but it's bad. And JJ has to get a hold of it. And Luka, it impacts winning, man. You're sitting down there complaining to the refs. Your team's on the other end, playing 4-on-5. And the Lakers' main thing is defense, man. They're terrible. Like they can't stop anybody. They're giving up an absurd amount of points. And when your best player is doing that, and there's no consequences either. I'm sure other players on the team who are running back on defense are looking at this like, why are you allowing Luka to do this? And obviously it's Luka Doncic, and that's why. But it impacts winning, and that's why the Lakers are in a serious contender. They give up the second highest percentage of 3-pointers, and a lot of 3-pointers in the NBA now are transition threes, meaning Luka's down there complaining. The team's playing 4-on-5. They're swinging the balls, leading to open threes. The Lakers giving up the second highest 3-point percentage to opposing teams. I think they're dead last in 3-point. I have to look in 3-point differential. So that's it. You're not playing defense. You're giving up more threes than the other team. You're not a great rebounding team. They're not a great passing and assist team either. So it's a lot of one-on-one basketball. It's Luka doing his thing. It's Austin doing his thing. It's bad defense. You're never going to win, man. And one thing LeBron doesn't fit either.
No, we'll get into that in a second. One thing she said was at the end of this little comment that she had, she said, and so obviously Dallas decided that, she's like, I don't agree with trading Luka, and I don't agree with what they traded him for, and I don't think anyone in their right mind would agree with either one of those things. But what she did say is what it tells you is you can't build a team a certain way. Like you have to build it around the fact that he's not going to play defense, around the fact that he's going to cry, around all of these things, right?
Yep.
So that means that you need like big dynamic wings to play two-way and run back and play defense and be able to shoot. Like you can't, you know what I mean? You need all of those things. And I guess maybe when they were in Dallas and you had, PJ and you had, Tim Hardaway and you had these guys and obviously these athletic bigs, and maybe they could just, make up for him. I mean, in the beginning with Steph, like when you had Clay and Andre and Draymond and these guys out there, Harrison Barnes, Kevin Durant, you were sort of making up for him. Like you knew that they were going to put him in action. You knew that they were going to try to isolate him. And these other guys were going to literally make up for him because he was so dynamic on the offensive end and he's a leader, right? And that's okay. Right. So you need to do that with Luka somehow. You can't do it with LeBron and Austin Reeves, which I think it was Kendrick Perkins that said that they couldn't stop anyone in a kid's crosswalk.
That's
what I mean?
That's pretty good. It's pretty fucking funny. And I think that's kind of the point. I think that Luka fell into the Lakers' lap. I don't think they were looking for Luka to come in to pair with LeBron and pair with Austin. They already had Austin and LeBron on the roster. Then they see a chance to get Luka Doncic. Like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna take this. So they get him, probably knowing he's not going to fit. So now it's going to take some time to build around him, to your point. The way the roster is constructed now, it's not conducive with winning around Luka Doncic, right? It's not, but they had no choice. You get a chance to get Luka, you get him, but it's going to take a while. It'll be interesting to see if they pay Austin Reeves. And I think they probably knew like LeBron and Luka are kind of similar. And at this point in LeBron's career, not a perfect fit. And we're seeing that now, but there's nothing they can do about the LeBron thing. He's got no trade clause. I'm not sure what team will take him at this point and what they'll get for him. So I think it's going to take a couple of years for them to do that. But you're absolutely right. You got to build around the fact that Luka isn't going to play any damn defense, that you're going to be going down the other end of the court playing 4-on-5 50% of the time. You got to surround them with guys that are athletic, that can shoot and defend. They don't have that at all. Like Vanderbilt can defend and he's long, can't shoot for shit.
He might be a bottom 10 shooter in the NBA.
He's awful. Gabe Vincent's small. I mean, he can shoot the ball all right. Austin Reeves is a juggernaut offensively, but is a liability defensively. Rui is just okay. He's, he can shoot a little bit, but
the Warriors never had that because every player was a lockdown defender besides Steph. When you went to their death lineup, I mean, it was either Kevin Durant or Harrison Barnes in their primes, Draymond, Clay, Andre.
It allows you to switch. NBA is all pick and roll. It allows you to switch everything. It makes you more dynamic on defense. When you have liabilities on defense, you can't
have two
switch.
or three, dude. You got 2 or 3 guys that you're just gonna blow
They're
by,
going to
blow
get
by,
them.
blow by.
The teams are going to get the matchup they want every time down the court. But if you have a bunch of guys that defend and guard, 4 different positions, you can switch things, and it's a lot tougher. But now, teams get the matchup they want when you got Austin and you got Luka out there, and LeBron, who is a good defender in spurts. He's too old to play consistently, so they're just getting they're not serious. I wonder if Pelinka, and what that group tries to do with this roster. It'll be real interesting, man, especially with the Austin Reeves thing and his contract. But even
paying
this year,
that guy, you paying that guy a max deal, it's tough.
It's tough. He's a guy. I'm a big fan of Austin.
He's a hooper.
I love his game.
I was a hater. He's a hooper.
He's a hooper. Dude, he can play, bro. He's nasty. It's just that man. He's a willing defender. He's just not a good one. You know what I mean?
We need to get him a barber. Bad.
Yeah,
I mean, you went from Alex Caruso to Austin Reeves, and man, get this guy a barber. I mean, he's getting paid to wear those Asian shoes that he has. Those are bad. The headband's bad. Like everything's bad. He needs a pair of clippers. I don't think he's ever had one on his head before. They need to do something there, man. I don't know. You know what I mean? But
he needs help.
Him out.
Boy's got no style.
Out there. I know you do.
He can hoop, just can't.
I know.
Just can't dress worth the lick. So
all this is going on, right? Luka's doing what he does. The Lakers are, 4-6 or 5-5 in their last 10. They were, one of the best teams in the NBA before LeBron came back. And then you have JJ acknowledging it. We don't know who he's talking about. Most people think it's LeBron. You think it's low-key Luka. It doesn't really matter. He's just saying, we're not going to play 53 games like this. I can't take it. Saturday's practice is going to be uncomfortable, right? And then, you see a video of it, and they're like goofing around. I forget who it was. It's like a 360 around the back windmill dunk that he misses. LeBron walks in with no shirt on. Everyone's goofing around. And they're interviewing DeAndre Ayton afterwards. I sent you the clip. And they were like, oh, this, uncomfortable practice. And he literally goes, y'all bought that? Y'all believe that was going to happen? So he's already out of it, right? It's 30 games in. He's already Phoenix Suns DeAndre Ayton, because if he's going to throw the team out there like that, he doesn't like what's happening. Maybe it's because they're not letting him shoot jump shots. I don't know. But he's not happy, right? And he was the potential reason this thing could work. So obviously that's not working. JJ, either doesn't care or has no ability to control these guys, and maybe they'll trade LeBron. Maybe they're working on it. I don't know. Rich Paul said they weren't.
It.
It's got to be because he's gone anyways. Next year you have the cap freed up. But if you could get something for him and get rid of him now, I mean, you still have a chance to,
I think JJ probably tried, but I think that to your point, which one was, I think the players don't care. I think JJ probably realized it's hard to control and call professional grown men who are making $100 million out. They're just gonna say, I don't give a shit. Like, try to make it uncomfortable. What are you gonna do? And that's a cultural thing. Like, I do think that there's some coaches and there's some situations where coaches probably can get into players, but that's kind of the culture of that, whether it's called the Patriots or, some of these other franchises, even San Antonio, where the coach can probably ream into players and they'll respond. I think JJ, no matter what he says, he probably is pissed off and wants to make it uncomfortable. But if he's trying to do a drill where you're supposed to go 100% and Luka's going 50%, what's JJ going to do? You know what I'm saying? So
you got to have guys. Said sit him. Bench him.
I mean, and that's crazy. But you got to set him. You got to set a message, and I don't know, if that backfires. If now Luka's like, I want out. I don't know. It's tough, dude. It's just you got to have guys who want to win and do what it takes to win, and it doesn't seem like the Lakers have a roster full of those dudes.
They can't afford for him to have mutiny like he sort of did in Dallas after Mark was gone. And, they got rid of his homies and stuff. And, obviously they were trying to change the culture of the team because, you can't afford for him to do that, especially with the talent level that you have. But imagine a world where they do something and he, acts the way he was acting and he goes to his third team. And, I mean, that's his legacy at that point, sadly. I mean, I don't know why he won't play defense. It's defense is effort, man. To your point, like Austin Reeves isn't the most competent defender, but if your effort level's there, we can work with that. Like
Correct.
If you're going to go hard and come off the screens and fight through and box out, and if you watch those clips that they show of Luka and Bron standing in the paint and the ball getting passed around them, and they kind of take one step this way, one step that way, it's just like you're not even trying, man. Like you need to be a willing defender. So, and also you can't, even if, like, what if they put the right people around him and he's still not trying and he's like, that's y'all's job. Like, how's that going to work, man? It just doesn't. It just doesn't, man. And you could, whether it was Kobe or Jordan, anyone that played with them would always say they would never ask you to do something that they wouldn't do, ever.
Yep.
And that's a leadership thing, really, more than a basketball thing. But
and to be a leader, you need somebody who can hold guys accountable on both ends of the floor. And Luka can't. Is Luka going to call a guy out for not making the proper rotation defensively? He can't. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So, again, the Lakers are the worst. They're the worst 3-point percentage differential.
And that's an effort thing, man. They're not running at guys.
Thing.
They're playing 4-on-5 to your point in transition.
Yeah, and they're second to last in 3-point differential, 3-pointers made per game. Golden State's number 1, by the way. They're plus 3.6. But the Lakers are second to last.
They're number 1 in differential.
Yeah. 3-pointers made differential per game, and the Lakers are second to last. And again, a lot of those threes are coming off transition when teams are playing 4-on-5, and the Lakers are running back to the paint to prevent like a layup, and that leaves guys around the 3-point line open, and they're getting wide open threes, and those are killers, dude. So I will get off the Lakers high horse. It's just disappointing when you got a talent like Luka Doncic who does that. It's tough. Maybe it'll turn around, man. Doubt it. I wouldn't put my money on it, bro.
No. It's interesting because I was a huge Luka fan when he was in Dallas. And,
I know.
And maybe it's because you watch it differently. I don't know. Obviously, you knew that he couldn't defend anyone and that he wasn't really trying to, but I didn't realize how bad the complaining was. And maybe it's worse. I don't know. It feels worse. And maybe it's because everyone on their team's flopping and doing it. I don't know. But it's hard to watch, especially in person, because you don't have to watch where the camera goes. You can watch him, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see him just scream at the ref and scream at the ref. If I was the ref, I'd be like, dude, if you complain again, I'm just not going to call a foul on anyone that hits you. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I hate to see it. I wish that he would turn around and at least give effort and try, but he's already said that he's not. He's shown that he's not going to. Hasn't said it as far as I know. Couple other things, Jalen Green coming back soon. Suns are 19-13. They just won a road game with Colin Gillespie, 25. Dylan Brooks 26. Book 22. They're hooping. Dylan Brooks is still averaging almost 22. He's a real-time menace. He brings Game 7 energy to a Kings game on a Tuesday night in week 2 of the season.
Yeah, he does.
He picks someone not to like. He goes after him. And he must know who he can get under. Like, he knows he can get under LeBron's skin, so he does it. He's kind of like Draymond, but almost he's not collected. He's more collected than Draymond, but not by much. But right now he's a better offensive player, along with being a menace and being a defensive tone setter, because that's something they've never had. Dude, this guy, man, the way that they're playing, maybe Jalen Green's a 25 a night guy,
easily
can give you 40.
For sure. He's a great talent offensively.
I think it might be time. I don't know what the move is. Mark Williams really isn't the best. Maybe you move on from Malawach and you try to get a real big man. Because I'll tell you this, if they drafted Derek Queen at 10 instead of letting him fall to 13 to the Pelicans, Derek Queen's balling out now. I watched Derek Queen bully Malawach in an early season game at the end of the game during a blowout. Like, if they had a real big man, they'd be a huge problem. A big problem. They're relatively deep. They don't have great players, but they have a lot of shooters. Like, when you have Grayson, who hasn't been playing, and Royce O'Neal and Colin Gillespie and Book and Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, dude, those are 6 or 7 real 3-point shooters. So if you can have Iguodaro, they're tinkering with Iguodaro starting, who I think was a rookie last year, who had his moments, I suppose. But if you could get a real big man to play, Mark Williams, like a little bit better than Mark Williams, man. I don't know if they're beating anyone, but man, they're giving you a hard time because they're shooting the ball so well. The effort's high, the culture's there. They enjoy playing with each other. You can see it. There's no like finger pointing and any of that. Everyone's efforts high. Book setting the standard there. I mean, I don't know what they could do because they're in the West. I wish they were in the East because then you'd say shit, anything's possible. But it's going to be
it's tough, but
you don't
their
never know, man. I
cohesiveness,
don't know.
their cohesiveness is great. To your point,
Dude,
Brooks
we
is
thought they'd
playing
be
amazing.
a 13 or 14 seed. Like
And again, you're doing this without your second best player. Yeah.
Who, by the way, would still be in Houston if he had a good playoff series against the Warriors last year. Like he's a real bona fide NBA All-Star, perennial.
He is.
Right?
He is. He's athletic. So, he's long. He's rangy. He can shoot. He can get to the bucket. He's a great offensive player. You add him to the mix, and to your point, you're getting a lot out of Colin Gillespie and some of these other guys, and there's cohesiveness there, man. It matters when it comes to a team and how they play together, and they play great together. Coach is doing a fantastic job out there in Phoenix.
He's got to be the coach of the year, man. I don't care how many games the Spurs win; it doesn't matter.
And you got so many wings, man. You need Mark Williams to you need someone who's a paint and rim protector who can rebound the ball. That's what you really need. That will spread the floor out a little bit and offer help, obviously. But you got good wings. I think the Phoenix Suns want to play fast, get up and down the court, knock down open threes. Ball movement.
They shoot a ton of threes. They're making them, man. They're making them. And also, as an aside, we didn't talk about Dalton Connect, but why does JJ Redick hate him so much? What did he do to him? Because he's even playing games in the G League, which makes zero sense for that guy to be playing in the G League. Like that dude.
Yeah, don't.
That's a real NBA player. Like he's a hooper.
He's a hooper. He can score. I think defensively is something else. But at this point,
they need to get him out of there, man. Because
you got to play. You got to play him. Of course, he's a scorer. I think they're so bad. You know what it is, man. You're obviously playing Luka and Austin a lot because of how good they are. You can't play Connect 2 because that gives you 3 bad defenders.
They don't play him when Luka's out, or they don't play him, dude. They treat him like the Warriors are treating Jonathan Kuminga right now, who's been a DNP like at least the last 5 games.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why he's in the doghouse. But, at this point with the Lakers, you got to try anything. And he gives you more shooting, which they need. And Phoenix is, 4th in the NBA in 3-point differential. They're plus almost 1.7. So they're 4th. Golden State's number 1. Way ahead of everybody with a positive 3.6. So Phoenix is shooting the ball well. They're out shooting teams from 3, playing some defense and getting wins that they probably shouldn't. Honestly.
And the Warriors are not getting wins they should. Like I was messaging you last night. They're 17-16 now. They won last night. 11 of their 16 losses, they had a lead in the 4th quarter. And so if they won 4 or 5 of those, it changes the whole dynamic of where you perceive yourself to be at this time of year. And I don't think they're beating anyone as constructed. So, that's a sad thing to admit, but they're not beating anyone like this. Jimmy's playing a little better. Steph's still hooping. He's getting fouled. It just depends, man. The nights where Draymond can shoot the ball a little bit, it's different because they definitely don't have that third scorer, and sometimes they don't have the second one.
Right.
It's time to, I've seen a couple like Moody, Kuminga, Pajemski for, and Michael Porter Jr. type scenarios. That's fine, but they still need a big man because they're not getting any rebounds. That's the real problem. They're out shooting everyone. They have, they always, are at the top of the league in assists. They're passing the ball. The problem is that they don't get rebounds, which means their second chance points is a gravesite. They're a gravesite in the paint because they're not getting rebounds. If you're outscoring a team by 3 threes a game, that's 9 points in a league dominated by threes, and you have a 500 record. I mean, that's crazy. So
it's tough.
And they have 9 more games or 15 days until they can trade Jonathan Kuminga, and that's got to be what they're working on. So we'll see where it happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited to see what happens. They're now saying Trae Young could be on the block. Obviously, all the Sacramento Kings players are on the block, and Lauri Markkanen's on the block every year. Maybe one will actually get traded. And what's crazy is 2 years ago, the Warriors didn't take offer from Utah because Pajemski was they didn't want to give Pajemski up.
That's like the story of the Lakers' life too. I mean, there were times where they didn't want to give up Horton Tucker, who's not even in the NBA anymore. He was like untouchable, and they could have got players. And the Lakers are known for holding on to players that they shouldn't. But that's crazy when you think about it. That's
If they would
fucking
have had
crazy.
Markkinen and Jimmy Butler last, I mean, I don't know, dude. But
Yeah.
what are you
But to
gonna
your
do?
point, I mean, the Warriors shoot the ball well. Um, right now they're fifth in the league in assists and that differential. So they move the ball
And
well.
they're a
It's
top
just
five defensive team. They play good
always, I don't
defense.
know.
They just
I
can't
think
rebound
there's
the ball, man. Rebounding and
can't
second chance
rebound
points.
and they're not closing games out like they should.
And
They have a lead.
the only athletic player on their team is Jonathan Kuminga. When he's playing well, he can give you 10, 12 boards a night because he jumps out of the gym. But he's been DNP, DNP, DNP. Who are you giving him his minutes to? Buddy Hield, Pajemski, like none of these guys. I mean, Pajemski can actually rebound a little bit because he's not small, but that's not what he's trying to do. You know what I mean? He's trying to
Right.
shoot floaters, shoot step back threes the whole time. So I don't know, man. But I'm interested to see what happens at this trade, before the trade deadline and potentially at this January 15th mark, because there's going to be some people moving around. If he's DMP every time, they're trying to not get him hurt. That's all the message is. We're not going to get him hurt. He's gone.
Guess.
He's gone.
Yeah, I guess. And again, it's been so quiet on the Giannis front. I wonder if something will happen with him. Marketing is always on trade discussions. Trae Young, it's clear that Atlanta wants to play a different way. That doesn't fit what Trae does. They want to be long, rangy, athletic. Trae doesn't fit into that. The problem is how much Trae's making right now. And what's the market? Like, who needs that type of point guard? He's a great player, but who needs that to get them over the hump, or who needs that to get that team to the next level? It's tough. Minnesota might make sense. They need to upgrade at point guard, but
I mean, can you
I
get
don't
him? What
know.
does it cost? How could you pay him?
Correct. Like,
And
what does Minnesota have for
I mean,
for
you're not
Atlanta?
giving up players you actually want.
No. So, but I always love the NBA trade deadline. There's going to be stuff that we don't see coming, obviously, but it'll be real interesting. It's always busy in the NBA around the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens in the next month. I think teams will start making some moves.
Yeah, it's about time. It should be a pretty busy one, especially again with OKC in San Antonio being the clear two favorites, and then obviously just Houston and Denver in a separate league than everyone else in the West. Like the teams in the West need to be making moves, and maybe if you're the Knicks or Boston's in third now, and maybe Tatum comes back. I can't believe Boston's where they are. Obviously, at the top of the East, it's pretty obvious, but the Knicks are coming on strong. I think they're tied with the Pistons, or maybe a half game behind. They're right there, and I know, if I'm either Detroit or New York or even Boston potentially, I bet they wish they didn't sell Porzingis and Drew Holiday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm
True.
buying if I'm them. They're buyers. They need to be buyers. All three of those teams.
You got to think about this. This draft is loaded. So teams might be trying to collect assets, and should be sellers. I mean, this draft probably, and you don't know how players are going to pan out, but there are probably like 4 franchise type players in this coming draft, right? Look at AJ DeBanza, Patterson out of Kansas, that kid out of North Carolina, Koa Pete, Boozer. They're a high. I mean, there's a lot. This is a great draft. So teams are going to start trying to collect assets and draft picks. Might not care so much about the record. So some of these teams are going to be sellers, and there's a lot of good teams that can get really good assets in this, at this trade deadline that could help them for sure.
The Knicks or the Pistons need to be buying big time.
Yeah.
Because
this is their window,
can happen.
dude.
One of those guys in the West rolls their ankle in the finals, man. You win.
If you get to the finals, anything can happen. Yeah, obviously, right?
Look at Indiana. How the hell did Indiana go 7 games last year? That should never have happened.
It's wild. You used to make it to the final. I mean, look at what happened in the playoffs. In playoffs past, that teams were able to win, like in the finals because of injuries when they weren't as good. Like when Golden State, when Clay got hurt, and the Raptors beat them. Right. Halliburton blew his Achilles. They probably wouldn't have beat OKC, but his Achilles was. The Knicks just need to, and the Pistons need to go all in. This is their window. You got Tatum coming off injury, Halliburton coming off injury. Yeah, OKC is great, but who knows how healthy they'll be at the end of the year. So I agree. The Knicks and Pistons need to be buyers. They probably will be. I don't know how much the Knicks.
I think a rotational player that makes them a little bit better in spots.
That's it.
Or a little bit more depth. It doesn't need to be a lot.
Correct. So it'll be good, man. Again, it's a great draft. Teams are going to want assets. They're going to want draft picks to get some of these guys. So, we should see a lot of movement here. Hopefully.
Yeah, man.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm hyped, man.
Hell yeah.
Well, I hope everyone out there, like we said earlier, is safe. You know, it's New Year's. It's that time. People are going to be out partying a little bit. You know, watch out. Be careful with the drunk drivers. You know, be safe out there. Have fun. You know, and you know, we look forward to seeing y'all next year and continuing to grow this thing. Thank you guys for following and watching and listening and giving comments and feedback and stuff. So,
yep,
you know
appreciate y'all. Yes, sir.
I appreciate y'all, man. Well, you know what, man? The last time this year, there's one thing you can't do.
Can't teach taste. Happy 2026, y'all.
Happy New Year. Peace.